welcome back to Angling 360, and this is one of the videos you could class as by popular demand. The amount of messages we've had over the last, 6 or 7 months, maybe even longer, regarding the Bombarda setup. If you know how to set it up, that's great. You can stick a kettle and grab a beer. This video won't be for you. But for those who are unsure or not got a clue, like I was 2 years ago, and if it wasn't for Doogie over on Piscator UK YouTube channel, I kept seeing this thumbnail popping up with Bombarda Sea Trout, and I'll be honest, I skipped by it. I didn't know what it was, I wasn't interested. And then one day I watched it, and I'm glad I did, because it's changed the quality of sea trout fishing for me. Now, after a couple of years of using it, Alex has now thought, actually there's something in that. It seems to produce bigger sea trout. Now, I'm going to say this straight away. We're quite reluctant to do these how-to videos. Never want to come across as know-it-alls, because we're not. So this is how how we go about setting up this rig. Now Alex is already set up good to go with the Bombarda. Now he's using a feeder rod. I'm using what was bought for the grayling, my float rod. Now, your choice of rod boils down to your affordability, doesn't it? Doesn't need to be a top end rod, which that is. I was lucky enough to get that on a good deal. Any rod that you're comfortable using with will do the job. I initially started off with my lure rod, but the reason why I moved to a longer rod was because the length of the rig with the Bombarda, when you're casting your lure rod, Bombarda, he's laughing, I'm obviously laughing, I've done it again. That was not meant. Oh shit.
Is that Bombarda how to?
Aye, a Bombarda how to. Damn it, man, I was determined in my mind I wasn't going to do that. Shit. Right, we're not starting again.
It's catching on.
I know. If you look at Alex's recent Facebook post for the Sea Trout, you'll see that it's actually catching on. Like that word. I threw myself off now. So, this rod was bought. I sold some whiskey and that, freed the funds up to buy this nice Aventus rod for Guru. It is one of my favourite rods. I can handle anything. It's handled decent sea trout. It's handled lovely grayling. I've had roach and dace on it, so hoping to get some tenge, maybe even a carp on it this year as well. However, I'm not set up. So I'm going to attempt to do this from scratch. Now the reel is a Daiwa Ninja, and it's a 4000. And that's loaded with £10, what's it called again? Drag line. Now this line is, and again, listen, we're no sponsored by Guru. This is all bought and paid for. £10 drag line. It's really good line. We use it for the barbel. I keep doing this, and I've got one of these here. Sorry. That makes me a proper fly angle or what. So straight off the bat, we get into my wee Sea Trout multifunctional box here, and we have 15 gram and 20 gram. Now I prefer the slightly heavier one, which is a 20 gram Bombarda. That goes on straight to your main line. The pressure gordon. Feed that right through. And then what we like to do, just to protect the knot, multicoloured beads. Sea trout, you've got to go with blue, aren't you? A wee bead. I think Alex, you were using float stops at one point, weren't you? And then I think my swivels are in my wee fancy Oh, don't need that many for sure. A couple of swivels are required. Alex will need to tell me what size they are.
Small.
Small. Size, I'm sure they're size 8s or 10s, are they? Smaller than that. 12 maybe. So your preferred knot. Tie that on. I use a blood knot. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Back through the hole. Squirmy spheres, look away now.
Oh, that put people off their dinner, that did.
Yep. Then nip that wee tag end off. So there you go, that's your Bombarda on the main line. Just like that. 20 gram Bombarda. Wee bead of your choosing, float stop if you prefer, onto what we think's a size 12 swivel. And that's the first of 2 swivels. So we put that aside, and now we go to the sharp end. So this is a well used spool of £7 fluoro. So I always go an arm's, 2 arms length. A wee pack of treble hooks. Now, as I said, this is how we do it. I have used single hooks in the past. That's a size 10 treble. Now, that goes on first. With this rig it's important you put this on first, otherwise you won't be able to tie it. Well, you probably could, but I certainly can't. So the same blood knot. 7. Squirmy spheres, look away now. Too quick, Alex. You know I take forever to set up. Right, so that's on there, just nice trim mat tag end. Now this is a bit people ask the most questions of. What is a knotless knot? Now we're wanting to put a hook where my thumb is roughly. You can put it as close together as you want, depending on which size of a mackerel strip, a bait, sand deal you want to use. But roughly I'm looking for about that. So it's about 4 inches, 8 inches if you're a guy. So we want a single hook in here somewhere. These are size 10s, wide gape that we use for the barbel. I think you do the job. So the knotless knot, sorry I've got a runny nose, there's your size 10 wide gape. You take the other end of this treble hook, the line the treble hook's attached to, and we slide this single hook down to the treble. So you want the back of the hook to run along the line, like so. So I'd like that a wee bit bigger. Right, so this is where it might be difficult to film. Take the bend in the hook and hold the line there like that, like so. Now you want to wrap the hook round the shank, the line round the shank of the hook, keeping it tight together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You could maybe get 9 or 10, but I'm comfortable with that. Pinch it with your finger and thumb. Take the other end. Is it that way or that way, Alex? I always forget.
Other way.
That way?
Nope,
Other way. Right. Pop the line through. My eyesight's not the best. Keep pinching. Pull all the way through. Don't catch it in your jacket. Pull that tight. And there we have it.
Fucking camera.
It's not the camera, it's the operator. What if we held it against that a bit better? So the reason why I like to leave it a wee bit longer, and I'll show why when we put the bait on. If you're fishing a slightly smaller bait, all you need to do is wrap the line round the hook a couple of times and that'll just shorten it down if need be. But that's probably as long as I would want to do it. So now we need the swivel that meets in the middle. So I don't know what's that, 4 foot roughly. Again, this is all preference, this is just my preference. Purely down to what makes you confident. And there's no right or wrong, this is just how we do it. Keep catching this and this jacket and all that. So another word not required. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nice and strong knots, good strong line. What gives you confidence works. Right, so that's the rig, if you want to call it that. That's probably a bit too long, but okay, so we'll set that aside so I don't kneel on it and pierce my waders, which has been done in the past. So now you get another bit of line. I'll make this bit a wee bit shorter, because that bit was a bit long. Then you get your Bombarda end, then this connects the two together. Bob's your uncle, Jessie's your auntie. Now the reason why I adopted this kind of, would you call it, two ideas kind of fused, or two methods fused together. I was down one day just freelining the mackerel strip. You know that way when you're fishing the lure you're covering a lot of water, but then with the freelining the mackerel strip you're not covering as much water. I thought, I wonder about that Bombarda. So I think is the traditional way, if you will, Alex, to fish the Bombarda with flies.
I don't know if traditional and Bombarda go together, to be honest. But aye.
Now, is that not what it's usually designed with? Sea Trout in it, it's a Bombarda and a fly, if you will. So then you get your rig end swivel, and then you join it all together. That's you. Now, as I say, this isn't a we're right, you're wrong, this is how you should fish this way. So don't all you keyboard warriors start rattling your keyboards after a couple of beers, you know, you're doing that wrong, you're doing that wrong. This is what works for us. It might work for somebody else. It might not. But
However, that's
a dodgy swivel. Right, I'll take this opportunity to shorten that.
Let me cut the onions.
No.
That's good, isn't it?
Keep it going, these things happen. You'd rather that happen. Surely I'll agree, you'd rather that happen here than you've got a £6 sea trout attached to the other end.
Where do you buy your civils?
Glasgow Angling Centre. They've caught Alex's bag. It's usually the line that snaps on me, innit? Then this, and I'm here for half an hour. So I just felt as if the mackerel strip could fish it a more effective way. So when I put it together with the Bombarda, literally my second day out using it, and angling 365 now, I'll throw a wee video up with the fish I caught with it. It's the biggest sea trout I've ever had. Honestly, I can't believe I've caught this. Easily my biggest sea trout ever. Clyde bolt. I'm absolutely fucking buzzing. 10 minutes I took. Must be about 6-7 £. What a fish. Wow. Can't believe I caught that. I don't know, but please hope that's picking it up. Date one real time. Right. Absolute bar of silver. Mwah. Wow. So it kind of stuck as a firm favourite method to use.
Stuff the top and run down it.
Yeah. That's a dodgy swivel. Put your rubbish in the bin. Right, let's hope this swivel's alright. I wonder what happened to that swivel. There we go. Now it rang with that one. So there we go. The famous Bombarda. Bead, swivel, swivel. Excuse me, and then your peril rig. Excuse me. And that is that. If he's given me a minute, get this made safe. So that's that. It's very basic setup, minimal equipment, and it's damn effective. Hey Alex, your turn.
The Bombarda. I was a wee bit unsure about it. Not unsure about it, but I just liked the lures. I liked the lures because I felt you hit a lot of fish. I think it was a wee bit more active, it covered more water, but I think with lures you lose more fish than you land. I definitely do anyway. I've not lost a single fish on this Bombarda setup. Not hooked many, but the ones that I have hooked, I've been landed. So there's something in that. And as we've said before in previous videos, it definitely seems to pick out the bigger fish. And if you've watched the Chasing Silver vlog, I think we've had 3 episodes so far, 3 parts so far. That is the aim, that is the goal, is a big fish. We're not really in it for numbers, we're looking for that 5 pound plus fish. And I think this is definitely going to be the best way to do it. Yeah, you don't cover as much water, but it is still quite mobile. You know, you're still in the water, you're still wading, you're still searching. And yeah, the hookup rate and the keeping the fish on definitely is better. Gordon mentioned the rods. I've experimented with a few rods, trying this style over the last couple of sessions. Gordon's definitely sticking with his Aventus 15-foot float, and it does put out a good chuck. He put a photo up the other day of this rod in action, and it certainly compresses. You know, it was bent right to the handle, so it does throw out a decent line. I found with my float rod, I started using the float rod, it didn't quite put the line out that I was hoping, so I've switched to my, I think it's a 1.75 test curve end gauge feeder rod. Still got a bit of length to it. It is 12 foot, and you need that length for the length of the hook. I mean, the length of the hook link when we're fishing. Gordon's is ridiculously long, but I'm fishing, it's 5 foot. It's 5 foot from the hook to that float, so you need that length to keep the bait out of the water during your back cast. So I have a play around. If you ever take this method on, have a play around with the rods, find one that works for you. I wouldn't recommend anything under 10 foot, however. But aye, the Bombarda, famously catching on, new method. Bombarda's out, Bombarda's in. And we're going to go and try and catch a few fish on it. Well, I am anyway. You'll lose his.
So one thing I like to do, a wee bit of split shot. I think that's a BB. That just gets the mackerel strip down into the bite zone, if you will. Now I keep my mackerel strip in a wee Ziploc bag. Now to the wife's delight, I'll defrost herring, mackerel in the sink. I'll get one of my boys' meal prep trays for these old bodybuilding malarkey stuff that he does. And the tub gets layered with kitchen roll. I'll get it layered with salt and then fillet. Then kitchen roll, salt, fillet, salt, kitchen roll. And I'll just keep layering it up. And yeah,
Like a cake.
like a cake. I think you met someone in the garage the other day that said they left it a few days and it was a bit stiff. Again, it's preference. I've had some of these mackerel strips. That's a bit of herring. The fish I caught in the last video was on a bit of mackerel strip from the flounder video back in January. Once you salt it, it does keep for a long time. It's a very versatile bait. In terms of hooking, I'll go once through there. Get the treble. One treble, one hook of the treble through there, and then that's that. Now, you get a lot of nipping and not a lot of hookups. So your best friend in this situation is a wee pair of scissors, and I like to cut a point. So that when your fish is nipping, the chance of your hookup is greater than that if you had a longer piece. And that is what's been working. Now we've had herring strip, mackerel strip, bluey, all works. And to be honest, a lot of this is our leftover pike bait for the winter that we didn't do a lot of pike sessions on. So again, rather than bait sitting in the freezer all year to your next pike session, it's working for us for the sea trout. Obviously the conger fishing and such have you, but that is the mackerel strip, or herring strip in this case. And I think we're going to go with the Bombarda setup.
What's it called from now on?
That's what we're going to call it from now on. I've renamed it. And it is one of their rigs. Your purists will turn their nose up at it, but I couldn't care less what you think. Like, if you love your fly fishing, brilliant. If you love your lure fishing, brilliant. But this works for us, and we're happy with how we fish. That said, we do want to progress this vlog from this, which Alex stated. We believe this will catch us the big fish. But it doesn't mean we don't want to catch one on the lures and the fly as well. That's my wee personal goal for this summer, like I did last year. Get one in all three methods, which I did last year, and I'd like to do it this year, but with bigger fish. So I hope that meets the needs of those who have asked kindly for us to do this sort of video. It's not something we're used to doing or plan to do all the time, but as I said, you've asked. I hope this ticks the boxes for you. And until the next time, thanks for watching.